Welcome to Whoop with Jen. I'm so excited to share my weekend with everyone listening. This past Saturday, my husband and I took Elle to participate in the Special Olympics golf tournament. Greg has been taking Elle to her weekly practices, where one of the very, very nice courses in North Scottsdale opens it up to these athletes as a courtesy to hold their practices. And the entire membership and golf community welcome our special athletes there. I'm glad that this is a daddy-daughter thing, because after all that I do for Elle at school, DDD, her therapies, and cheer, plus working full-time at like 2 paying jobs and this podcast and running the household and being our personal financial planner and grocery shopper and laundry doer, like I need a break. So it's great for me to see Elle in action and how she's improved from time to time. Watching Elle hit balls is like watching someone shoot off a machine gun. Ball put down, swing, hit, ball put down, swing, hit, ball put down, swing, hit, and so on. So mechanical and like constant repetition. I mean, none of the basics of golf, like, lining up your shot, setting your feet, relaxing your grip, and taking a breath before, a slow and well-paced swing are important to her at all. Her primary focus is to hit that damn ball as soon as one is placed in front of her. This seems to be, more the case on the driving range, when maybe she's seen people practicing and hitting ball after ball after ball. When pitching and chipping, she seems to take a little more time. I honestly have no idea what is going on in her head. And that is what makes golf a great sport or hobby for her, because she's not in her head. She doesn't think about every shot like I would. She just swings, easy peasy. About 20% of the time, she really connects the club face with the ball properly, and the sound and the sight is spectacular. And she knows it, and she can feel it. Her joy of hitting a good shot doesn't come from her own self-judgment. It's just the pure, simple joy of how good it feels when you are holding a golf club, swinging it on your own free will, connecting with a stationary object, and sending it sailing. It's savoring the sound, that crack, the sight, the small wind created, and watching something soar into the sky that you made happen. At least that's what I'd like to think she feels, instead of just getting lucky 1/5 of the time. My dad grew up playing golf, as did his dad. My mom took it up once they retired. I started playing 2 years out of college after I moved in with them. Yes, I graduated college and launched my career in San Diego. I had good clients and friends, but I was exhausted and tired of living paycheck to paycheck in a flea-ridden apartment. So I transferred to Phoenix and moved in with my mom and dad. I don't think any of us thought that would happen. I mean, I had a good career as an auditor in a Big Four public accounting firm, but San Diego's cost of living was just not a match for my entry-level salary. And I didn't know enough people there to have a roommate. So I moved in with my mom and dad. I was working 12-hour days and would come home to a warm plate of dinner in the oven and way better wine than I could ever afford, or even have the taste to know what was good wine at the time. We'd play golf on the weekends when I didn't have to work, soak in the pool afterwards, have dinner on the patio, and talk for hours. Those were great times as a young adult, and the start of having a friendship with my parents. Golf spanned a little more when Greg he moved down to Phoenix, throughout the time we dated, our engagement, and the beginning of our marriage. We would hit the course on Fridays after work for 9 holes of golf with beers in our golf bags that we carried. I was never great at golf. I mean, I had my moments, but I never did hit my goal of playing a double bogey round. The course we played was really, really tough, and I donated several dozens of golf balls to the desert over the years. But we enjoyed being outside, watching the sun, start to set, the glow, noticing how the roll of the hills had to be taken into consideration for our shots. And even after a shitty round, it was still a round of golf. And then we had Jack. We were both young adults working full time. And for me, that meant 60-hour work weeks. It was just simply unfathomable to take a Sunday or Saturday off to play golf at our club, which was 40 to 50 minutes away each way, plus what could be a 5-hour round during the busy times of year. And that means we would miss out on almost 7 hours with our son. And that assumed we could even find a sitter. So I gave up golf. I figured that I could always pick it up back someday. I mean, my mom picked it up after my dad retired. And then I was grateful to not spend my free time whacking balls around prickly pears and worrying about snakes in the bushes. Greg didn't really give it up totally. I mean, he would go play if anyone asked him or if there was a work event, and he'd play on boys' trips. But golf really wasn't part of our lives for the last 18 years. I mean, during that time, we tried to get Jack to take lessons with my dad. My dad's a very, very good golfer. At one point, scratch golfer. Or we wanted him to take lessons with one of the pros at the club. And Jack just did not have an interest. And he wasn't really interested in any sport at all. And so we decided it was just better to lay off and wait and see what he might eventually be drawn to. But we were disappointed because, I think my dad would have loved to have had a grandson to go play golf with. Well, I meet a lot of people throughout my journey with Elle, mostly moms, and I meet them in therapy or doctor office waiting rooms. Sometimes they're parents of the kids at school. And then there's the extracurricular activities that we've been lucky enough to find that were appropriate for her. I mean, see, the parents of special kids almost all have a certain bond or connection because we are all part of a life event that is despairing, challenging, frustrating, demanding, enlightening, tear-jerking, heartwarming, and beyond our wildest dreams altogether. I took Jack to a birthday party at a gym where the kids could jump on the trampoline, play in the foam pit, and work on mat tumbling. The mom insisted that I bring Elle, so I did. The mom had been working in a parks and recreational role in another state that did inclusive and adaptive activities. So she was much more versed in recreational activities for Elle than I had been at the time. I mean, I was scared to bring her to a birthday party. She just, the mom just nonchalantly walked over to a flyer on the wall and said, hey, look, Jen, there's a special needs cheer team here. No cost to families. Do it. I couldn't believe it. I need to do an entire separate pod about that cheer team, but to get to the point of this pod, joining that squad introduced me to a world of amazing families and their special girls. I have friends still today from that fantastic cheer family that I met 11 years ago. And one of those teammates had a dad that thought he'd see if his daughter would like golf, wanting her to be interested in and successful at a sport, and he had casually played. I don't want to tell her story here because in and of itself, it's the most inspirational story I have had the joy of watching unfold. But long story short, they started her own golf journey in Special Olympics. And years of hemming and hawing, I decided to give it a try for Elle, with Greg's promise that it would not be an additional burden on my schedule. I had so many concerns about enrolling her in Special Olympics. I mean, this isn't, putting her in a typical debate or like a typical golf group. I mean, I'm worried about putting her in Special Olympics. Our friend's daughter was pretty good, and she was good enough to eventually play on her high school team. I was like, okay, is Elle going to be coordinated enough? I mean, she can throw a ball, but like golf is hard. The hardest thing I've ever had to do mentally was to swing a metal stick at something that wasn't moving. Would she understand the lessons? Would she listen? I mean, listening to directions is not her strong suit. Would she learn the game? Would she like it? Why in the world? I wasted so much time on worrying about nothing of immediate danger. I mean, for goodness sakes, it was just to give it a try. No one dies on the operating table on the golf course. But moms worry, and I have mastered that. There should be a degree. And guess what? Elle loved it. She loves golf. The coach for our team is so amazing and patient, And he sees potential in these kids that us as parents might totally dismiss. Their small team had a wide range of abilities, and the parents were, as usual, completely awesome. So Elle is now wrapping up her second season of golf with Special Olympics. They break out the abilities quite nicely. So Elle is in the first level or tier, which is called skills. And this is where the coaches and golfers work on tee shots, iron shots, wood shots, pitching, chipping, and long and short putting. They throw in some basic rules about the game, but they overall keep it pretty simple. And the next level is when an athlete plays alternate shot with a teammate, usually a typical individual, on the course. And it is such a great way to get the kids on the course without the exhaustion of playing the holes all by themselves and partnering with someone who is there to coach and champion them along the way. I mean, they are not alone. Then there's the top tier where the athletes play 18 holes independently. I've seen some of this play and it's pretty awesome. It's amazing what can be accomplished with patience, coaching, and support. I mean, yes, there are some skills that these athletes have, but these skills have to be fed, fertilized, and watered just like the grass on the course. So they wind up this very short season, which we start in August, which is blistering hot, and we go through November. So it's a short season, and they wrap it up with a tournament, quote unquote, for these various levels of players. And I missed it last year. Yes, I'm a bad mom. I went to the Dominican Republic with a girlfriend because she got cheap tickets to an 80s in the sand party, and Greg told me I had to go. So yeah, I'm really lucky in that way. And yeah, I had a little bit of guilt, but I'm really glad I went on that trip, and I'm really glad that Greg and Elle got to have their moment last year. But this year I got to go. And this weekend I got to go see Elle in action. And she was so happy and in her element from the moment she arrived with her hot pink sunglasses on and her small carry bag over her shoulder. She just strutted her way, from the parking lot to the pro shop. She made a point of finding the golf cart that was labeled number 16 and posed for a picture next to it because that number is very important because she will turn 16 this week. I told you she thinks numbers are living and real. So Elle went through the various stations and like a robot or a machine gun, she just went after each ball with gumption. The scoring is really basic. And yes, you get points for an attempt as opposed to landing a shot within a designated area. She hit a few glorious shots that were the highlight of our day. So honestly, who cares how many times she clobbered it and just flubbed it? And the nice part was when she did flub it or clobber it, she would clap her hand over her mouth and laugh. Who does that when they hit a shitty shot? Not Elle. I mean, she's just the best. And so yes, that was a great experience for the three of us as a family. And we were just one of many, many families in attendance with, their children or their adult children participating, all of whom were at various levels of skill, intelligibility, physical ability, mental ability. Everyone was on par yesterday. I'm around individuals with disabilities a lot, but there was one particular athlete that caught my attention. He seemed to be a young adult, at least based on his height. His eyes were almost always squinted shut, and he had earbuds in his ears. I presume with sounds that calmed him or energized him. I mean, how could I know? He had an adult with him. Maybe it was a parent, a sibling, or a caregiver, and they would get him up to the place to take the shots. And there was this one particular station where they were hitting tee shots. And I think he was using a wood. And he was so hesitant to approach the ball. He was playing left-handed, which must have been so hard to not have more physical role models playing left-handed to observe. I mean, with the utmost gentle guidance, he was just kind of like coached up to the ball and take his stance. And he took just this so delicate of a swing and kind of hit the ball, but it was more like a tap. And that was success. Huge success. Enormous success. Exhilarating success. Lifetime achievement success. Did it really matter that the ball just popped off the tee or only rolled a few yards? No. What mattered is that he hit the ball. He hit the ball. The ultimate success of what he had been working so hard for. It didn't matter where the ball went. His goal, his reward, his accomplishment was to work on hitting the ball, even if it's just a tap. And the crowd went wild. And pride and joy and applause was in the air. And he acknowledged that. And he was proud of himself. And it hit me. Seeing a greater landscape of athlete than just the few in Elle's small team, that the human race consists of and affects and is affected by such an enormous range of ability, belief, hard work, and result. And people who choose to use their free time to help this. Success should be how each person defines it. What is one person's success will not be another's. And I got to thinking how freeing it should be for the entire world, special needs are typical, if we all recognized and remembered that we, me, you, and us alone get to define what success is for each of us individually and no one else. We ran into our friends with their awesome golfer after the awards. And yes, Elle did win a silver in her group, and she was super proud and excited. And we all just shared a happy moment, cheering on each other's kids' own and individual success that day. And I got to thinking, well, Elle loves golf. There aren't many things we could all love to do together as a family. Jack is off at college, and it's just the three of us now. We have stable jobs, and I have all of Elle's school and state services running smoothly. Maybe after 16 years of life with Elle and sort of settling from what we thought we could do as a family, it was time to change my perspective and belief in what our lives could be like. Maybe it makes sense now. This moment that the three of us should go play 9 holes of twilight golf or hit balls at the range and do something we can enjoy together. See, Greg tells me that when they've gone to play, like if Elle poops out, she's happy to ride around in the cart because she loves being on the course and she loves being with her dad. I mean, yes, going and playing might help Elle improve. God knows I haven't held a club in so long. I thought I'd given up golf, so who knows how I'm going to whack around. But why not? What is holding us back or limiting us? That I think Elle might never be good enough to play alternate shot or on her own? Why would I ever think that? Why do I care about how I think I'm going to play? No, it's not. It's time to think not of what I don't think she can do, but what she can do. She has surprised me her whole life, and it's not up to my subjective mind to limit her or myself or care about what anyone else thinks. So yeah, it makes sense right now to embark on a new family endeavor. As I sit here right now, I am reminded that no matter how hard our role is in raising a special or unique being, or even just our typical kids, how important it is not to despair in whatever current situation you are in. Do not imagine or believe that your life will always remain the same. Open yourself up to new things and people, and doors and windows of opportunity and potential will grow exponentially, maybe even outgrow the size of your optimism. Because today there is more possible for Elle than I ever thought could be. And what's there for you? Limitless potential is up for you to decide. So whoop to you all out there. You are warriors. So are your kids. Thanks for listening. This is Jen.